pushy. So very, very clutch plays are going to have to come from Chauster here to keep this team fight alive.
Look like we would probably get a swap between these lanes at Sneaky on Ezreal, elimination on Lulu, get that poke lane towards the top, try to focus on Jace and lock him down, and the Jenna and Tristana on the mirror match for the other side. So we're going to get into this first match here on week 2, and a LCS summer split going strong. It's going to be Cloud9, undefeated right now in the North American LCS versus Counter Logic Gaming as we get onto the Rift.
Very, very interested to see how the first level 1 of our North American LCS on 3.8 goes, because we've been hyping this up so much about the importance of the early invade and the importance of starting with a jungle buff that I wonder if it's actually going to come to anything, or if it'll be normal here. It looks like Counter Logic wasting no time to answer the invade. They have seen C9 enter their red side jungle.
And just kind of rolling with what they've seen before, what has continuously happened in their scrims. They go with the ward behind the red buff. It's actually quite higher up as well to keep the situation known to what's going on. And they're going to sit right on top of it. So it looks like CLG has done some homework here. Yeah,
that was a really nice defensive ward. A lot of teams have been invading the red side if they do invade one of the side jungles. And the interesting thing to note here, since we have the Lee Sin as the C9 jungler, he does not really care that much about starting with the blue buffs, whereas Elise, if they were able to deny Elise blue buff, then she would have a slower start and her jungle speed would actually be affected.
Looks like they are going to head out of this one. Counter Logic Gaming. Well, I think it's just Cloud9 is knowing they're not seeing too much right now, but Counter Logic is definitely setting up the defense for this.
So they do know that it would be 4 versus 5 now because they recalled on the ward. CLG look like they kind of want something out of this. They're not going to let them get away from this for free. Sitting just on this ward the entire time here. C9, they're going to be caught out in their first move here.
They're trying to decide. Chauster has not taken a skill yet. He actually just took his Q instead of shield, so they're looking to go aggressive here. They know they've started engaging. Chauster's going to try to be the first one in. He may throw this into the bush. They get good damage down. There's so much AoE going on to Cloud9 right now. CLG played this one from the start with a ward, and it could come out in their favor. 2 kills for nothing right now. They both go 1 over to Link and 1 over to Janna.
So they were able to steal the red buff, but they paid for that with first blood as well as another kill right there.
To the end.
Yeah, to the end. So that was actually really huge. That one ward by CLG just paid off huge for them.
That was absolutely ridiculous. They waited very patiently there. They didn't get too antsy, and they're going to play this one smart as well. Looks like they go over it. Like you said, he's not going to be too worried about this blue buff steal, but that first engage for them is something they need to be thinking about.
This is why you should not be stingy with your wards, early wards in 3.8. Look how many wards CLG had placed around the map. They've spent so much money on that level 1, whereas Cloud9 only, putting a few in the offensive jungle. They definitely paid for that one. So great job by CLG. They've adapted pretty well to this one, and we'll see if they can actually take this start and roll with it through to the end game.
We'll see what Meteos can do for himself here. We've seen both of his busts stolen and him come back into this. Big Fat LP is going to be quite a level and a camp up here if he can get himself around and possibly then out into the lanes. That's where he said he likes to be, the most aggressive, in your face all the time, and Elise is a champion that can do that.
So Meteos got his blue buff stolen from him, but he did get his own red buff, so it wasn't so bad. There was definitely a huge start here for Big Fat LP though, because he was able to take away the extra buff, and that is going to give him plenty of extra experience. Looks like he just wants to come in here and help out Nien versus Balls. It'll be interesting to see if they go, because Jace does have a gap closer.
Oh, Balls just leveled. That is actually his lifesaver, because he went 2 levels into his Q and his 3rd in W, so he just got his 4th for his rush.
Yeah, the lightning rush is a key skill to have right when the gank happens. That was very, very fortunate for him right there to get that level up. Meanwhile, this 2 versus 2 top is pretty interesting because we did have such a good start here for CLG. So they felt like, since everyone was delayed from all the fighting in the level 1, nobody's going to get the double golems, and they wanted to go 2 versus 2 heads up.
See, you can see how hectic these fights were. This ward was actually placed during that last fight that Meteo just walked into, but he's trying to get himself back in. He's
been pinged out too.
He's taking the golems. The ping just came out like you said, and it looks like he's going to be forced to back off here, but he is trying to re-harass back onto Big Fat, so he's making moves.
So that's something to watch out for any of you junglers watching. If you are counter jungling those double golems for that red side, or even mirrored on blue side, the minion wave will see you if you are just auto attacking the golems and don't move them. The way to judge that is you can look at your own minion line to see when theirs is going to come, and you can just avoid it.
So we'll go down to this bottom lane, 36-15. Nian right now getting kind of poked out here as Balls gets in range, keeps getting those 4th shurikens down for himself on the auto attack, just applying the damage. There was a gank from Big Fat here, but Balls is kind of feeling comfortable knowing that he's gone. But no, he's back now. The Repel's not in range. He only gets on the minion and once again saves himself with a fast E.
Yeah, and you have to be careful when you do pull off ganks at that time when there's a giant minion wave built up. Nian has to be careful not to go too far because you're going to sacrifice a bunch of free gold to your turret if the enemy has already built up a huge minion wave at it. And Balls, he can continually lightning rush away.
And it looks like they're going to try to get him here once again on this bottom lane. We'll see where his lightning rush goes. If he dodges the cocoon, he's going to be fine. He pulls back on that one. Definitely lacing up the Nikes for this run. He does still have that flash up if he can get. No, he has to use it.
So they finally got a flash out of him with so many ganks. But that won't actually amount to much unless Big Fat LP returns again. And so this is probably going to be Balls picking up a ward here so that he can see the Elise ganks coming. Looks like he's head mid now.
High getting a little bit of damage there. It's actually great by Link to be able to catch High within that. That was the ultimate. So High trying to get a little aggressive misuse of the combination, and it's going to give CLG some aggression here on this mid lane. Yeah,
Link was able to catch him in the shockwave, but it kind of tipped High off that Big Fat LP was coming in for the gank, so he went off to the side, and now they're turning!
Oh, Meteo's coming in. Can he get in the range to get one on the Big Fat? But he uses the Q. They've already closed the gap, so it's all auto attacks now for the next jump. Nobody has the ability, and it's only going to be damage traded.
Great job turning that counter gank around to get the flash actually out of Big Fat LP.
Now, I got to say, Big Fat has actually lived up to what he said he's going to do as much as he can. He's been lane to lane. We see Meteos being a little bit more farm-oriented. Again, over at Big Fat's Wraiths, taking them down, really just causing trouble in mid, and see that Lemon Nation and Sneaky know all this aggression happened mid. They're taking that advantage top now.
Yeah, they're being very aggressive. Whenever you get vision of the jungler, then it gives all of your lanes basically the free carte blanche to go aggressive. And anytime that you do have a lane like this where you can pressure the turret, it's going to pay off. He does land a nice cocoon this time, though.
He literally is everywhere. Just soaking up experience here and there. They have been able to blow a few flashes. They are 2 kills up, but that's the only 2 kills. Cloud9 is understanding that Big Fat's in every lane. They're playing against the aggression, so they haven't really been able to jump off any of those 2 kills they got yet.
Yeah, but look at that CS difference. I mean, 13 to 42, that is huge. Chowster had said after one of the scrims, he was like, oh, Big Fat LP has got a new record, 5 CS at, 10 minutes. But it looks like this is just his style of jungling. It's very, very heavy on ganks and very light on farming.
And you got to, Meteos did go down early, so he was up for the initial camps, right, when they came up after they were going up. But he's now a level 6 to Big Fat's 5. So he has surpassed Big Fat.
Yeah, so because of the level 1, he died, but he was able to steal the red buff first, so he got that 340 experience before he went down. And Big Fat LP only got a little piece of it for the actual champion kills.
So Nian still getting pushed back. 30 CS in that lane as well. So 2 lanes with this discrepancy that we're seeing here for Counter Logic Gaming. It's kind of like Big Fat has left Nian for a second off. We've seen Team Solo Mid do that with some of their lanes. It's kind of like you need to repair yourself. We have to build up the other lanes now.
Yeah, he hasn't returned after burning that flash from Kennen. So even though that was a semi-successful gank, that's basically 3 ganks bottom that he did, and they weren't able to get anything out of it. Kennen is such a lane bully. Balls is constantly able to use him over and over just to bully out Nian and keep his CS down.
It looks like they're trying to keep Balls in that world. It's like, just focus on bottom. There's nothing else going on here as they try to pull out Dragon.
They would really be happy if both Nian and Balls did not join this dragon fight, because Balls would add so much more than Nian at this point. Really good job by CLG taking advantage of the lapse in ward coverage here for Cloud9. That pink ward does pay off, and they're able to get the dragon, which brings it back to even here. It's just even.
I was just going to say, that is an even amount of gold that came into Counter Logic Gaming. 10 minutes in, we're still seeing those discrepancies in CS. High is down a bit in CS in mid, but it's 20 up for Sneaky on double lift at that AD AD carry position since they've seen, like we said, those 3 ganks bottom. It has been all straight pressure for Sneaky and Elimination in the top lane.
Yeah, and it's part of Tristana's the champion overall. I mean, Doublelift had said before in an interview he was not a big fan of Tristana because of the weak laning phase,
right.
And he didn't understand how so many Tristanas were getting away with just a very strong all-around game. He said he would never let a Tristana out of his lane with anything less than a 30 CS difference. So he expects that Tristana is going to be behind in CS going up someone against like Ezreal or something.
And that's something we've heard the LCS players say as well. You know, if you get down, doesn't mean you're going to lose. Make sure you can still play in the game. Make sure you're still in the game. And he is only down a few 15 CS at this point. So he's still well within that range, especially once he starts to ramp up here in the next 10, 15 minutes. So
yeah.
High taking a bit of damage. Big Fat again, just kind of presence mid to soak up some XP there.
The tower on top of though is pretty huge. I mean, Sneaky is also going with the blue Ezreal build, so it's a build that you have to be ahead.
Yes.
Or you really definitely
It
want
helps to be ahead.
It always helps to be ahead, but yeah, the blue Ezreal has been taking a lot of people criticize that build for only being viable if you're ahead. If you're going to get someone like this, you know, Tristana and Janna lane, then definitely go for that build because he's got a tremendous lead and he can capitalize on it and get to that very early kiting potential that you can have and the, you know, annoying factor that Big Fat LP is such a fan of.
And something that Cloud9 does very well is they keep the same mentality. They don't get edgy. They don't try to do crazy things until they think they can fight, which is right now. Going in, this is the first time we've really seen Meteos go hard on a fight. He went for golems and was pushed out of the top lane for the first time they come up with a kill on Big Fat.
Nice flash Dragon Rage right there by Meteos, pulling out some flashy moves here from Lee Sin. Took him a little bit, but they are rewarded with a kill, and that's also going to be the Slicing Maelstrom down 4 balls though. So big ult from Kennen means that it should be a little bit easier for Nian. He's just been brutalized in that lane.
And this is really what I was talking about before, one of the reasons why Cloud9 is probably one of the strongest teams. They were down 2-0 to start. Nothing has looked shaky for them in any of these lanes. Yeah, you had to see the flash from balls bottom, but they didn't go bottom forward again. They were waiting for their opportunity all the time, and that's play they've said since the first day.
And they've picked very strong lanes in all 3 lanes. They were expecting to win all 3 of these lanes early and sort of snowball that one. But CLG have done a pretty good job. You know, they got the first double kill and then the early Dragon. I have to say that Dragon is probably the most important part for CLG right now. They definitely were hurting in the CS wars, but it looks like Lemonation going to take a shockwave.
There he is, going pretty hard. He should be able to save himself here. I was going to say they're wasting quite a bit with his ultimate still up. Lemonation just kind of walks out of that one. CLG looks for a kill.
So Big Fat LP, it looks right now from the items, he's going to turn that into the Ancient Golem for the jungle item instead of going with the AP jungle item that's fairly popular in solo queue. And I really like that. I think that you can never go wrong building that Spirit of the Ancient Golem because everybody likes health, everybody likes cooldown reduction. Another red steal here from Meteos. Looks like Doublelift's going to get him off, though.
They still have coverage on that ward there. Chauster going a little bit too far. Looks like the team will stay. Wasn't going too far, just putting pressure on. And they will be able to take this one out. So good positioning for Counter Logic. They're trying not to lose every part of this advantage they have right now, but they are down in gold after getting that Dragon even. So it's pressure that's coming out from Cloud9.
Yeah, so an interesting part about picking an early lane-dominating team comp is that with the increased importance of these jungle buffs and the experience that's been increased on them, you can usually snowball, you know, the winning lanes into stealing buffs like that. So it sort of gives, you know, these strong early comps another little advantage in 3.8. And it looks like they just barely didn't pay off there. High gonna go hard on Nian though, gets his flash.
High can, he's got that Blade of the Rune King already. He's trying to go strong. They do get the good cleanse down from Nian and actually running cleanse on Jace. He's looking to stay completely safe this game.
Ooh, very, very close right there. That was everything from both champions though. So Flash Ignite for Flash Cleanse, pretty even. And Nian was already sort of behind here, but he has been able to complete his Boots of Lucidity on top of his Mana Munis. So he's got the cooldown reduction and he can be spamming out those accelerated shock blasts.
High in the bottom lane is quite out of energy right now. Doublelift could be finding himself a kill here. Really not too much gold coming from High. No shutdowns, but that is going to be nice.
That red buff that they were able to safeguard from Meteor is so clutch right there. That's how they were able to pick up the kill on High.
Kill
and since, you know, High burned everything to go all in on Nien, had nothing left for the escape here.
We'll wait for him to come back up. 15 seconds. The team should be playing safe. Ball's just still split pushing in that top lane as everybody's congregated in mid right now. You see there's not much vision for Counter Logic Gaming except for that Wraith Ward that kind of covers Balls coming down into mid.
And that is one of Ball's favorite bushes right there, that little side bush, because it is into sort of enemy territory, but as soon as you take that turret, it's a great place to set up, you know, ambushes for anyone who wants to go after one of those juicy minion waves in top lane.
Building up.
So yeah, you can get a nice big juicy minion wave and then leave it there as bait. CLG, another great timing on this dragon, and the ward control paying off once again. It looks like Midos won't be able to get there in time, and another dragon goes down for CLG. Oh! Almost stole
it. And it's another catch-up dragon, though, Kobe. We're back to even, but 2 turrets in favor, and Balls is still able to pressure Nien in this top lane. Slowly getting damage on the turret, but getting damage.
Yeah, so 2 turrets to 0, but the key of this is that Cloud9 haven't really been able to capitalize on that. They were chased off of that red buff steal, and they haven't been able to pressure too much. So Counter Logic Gaming actually looking really strong right now, even though the gold is back to even.
Tristana does have that Infinity Edge. Gonna hop over to Doublelift. See, he's got 3 points in his rapid fire already, so he's scaling that up to be up by level 13 to have that full capacity. Oh, look at his ult at that point, but he will have that ramped up. So at 16 minutes, we're seeing a few core items come out. Ezreal stacking the tier. We're going to see him up to 248, so he's still got a while on that. And we're up to 200 on Link, so they're about the same rate.
I like how Link has rushed through to this Zarya's Hourglass as well. It's a great answer for the all-in assassins that we have from Cloud9. You know, if there's an all-in from Zed, Zanya's is great for avoiding the damage from that Death Mark. The other item, actually, that you can counter Death Mark with is that Quicksilver Sash, and I would not be surprised to see Doublelift pick up a Quicksilver Sash this game, especially if High becomes even more of a problem, because you can just get rid of that Death Mark and cleanse that thing right off. Not with Cleanse, only with Quicksilver Sash. That's why he would need that.
We see Lemon Nation clearing out some wards towards the top lane, getting Balls safe, giving him a hard hat to wear. 3-1 here at Counter Logic still with that kill lead, but they haven't been really able to find anything but the +1 since the early game red buff invasion. We see safety coming in. No, Doublelift and Chouster. No, Chouster's back in spawn, so just Doublelift farming up in mid. You can see C9 waiting again on that red buff.
They really want to capitalize on their map control that they have, and they haven't really been able to do it very long. If they don't make it happen soon, then CLG could get to the point where they're going to outscale them, and all CLG really has to do is stay even in gold right now until they do hit real late game here, because they have plenty of answers for the C9 team comp if they're able to actually execute. It's going to come down to that execution in the team fights, though.
All right, so this becomes one of those strenuous moments now for CLG to really regain part of their jungle back. We just had the Chouster was waiting on gold. That's why he was back in base. Just bought the oracles and popped it as soon as he got out. So if that goes down, Counter Logic's going to lose a lot of control for a while here, but they're going on sneaky. They may try to use this. Big fat onto Lemon Nation. They're splitting good here, Kobe. Looks like a little bit of aggression from CLG for a second.
All right, so yeah, you know, rewarded with the flash. That's fairly strong. Nice little shot right there from Sneaky to figure out that there's still 4 members of CLG here, but because they've congregated mid and they did force out, you know, the flash from Lulu, they've left High to split push for free in bottom, and this minion, the CS advantage here for Cloud9 is still growing because they're pushing all 3 lanes at once.
So they know wards are now in their jungle as well, as they have to split themselves and spread even thinner now on the CLG side. Lemon Nation using his oracles to great extent, pushing Chouster actually near a ward and over it. Doublelift getting some damage down. Balls tries to flash this one out. Still has a bit of the rush left, and he gets the speed to make it out, timing that one perfectly.
That's actually really big for Counter Logic Gaming as well. When you don't have a flash Maelstrom available from Kennen, it becomes a lot less scary.
Definitely helps for the Monsoon to just be healing for the team instead of the disengage in defense. 20 minutes in here, we're seeing a lot of aggression from the teams now as they start to make moves for the middle turret. High went to that bottom lane, but nothing really came out of it. Link has returned to his team. Looks like everybody's about to return to base to get some buys.
It's really been the story of this game. C9 continue to exert their pressure over the map. They gain their lead through giant CS numbers till it gets up to about 1,000 like this. And then once the Dragon comes up, CLG's been able to get an answer for the CS lead every time. But this next Dragon is really going to be in the hands of C9 since they do have both the middle and the bottom turret down right now. If they can get up a little line of wards here, then they don't have to give up yet another Dragon to CLG if they don't want to.
The gold still very close. We look down, we have Meteos half the CS above Big Fat LP right now. Doublelift jumped out with the Q hitting him up. Doesn't want the resonating strike to the back of the head just yet. Wasn't enough there for the defense. So we see the try push coming back in from C9.
And speaking of Doublelift, he's got his level 5 rapid fire now. So that plus Infinity Edge right there, he's at the giant power spike here for Tristana. All he needs is a few more levels to get that range up from his passive.
He's going to take this bottom wave. Doesn't look like he's given it any time of stall time, but you can't do that with Tristan anyways, so he's going to crush that down. He's sitting at 184 to 180, so the 80 carries keeping themselves nice and fed this game. Link taking a bit of harass there as Big Fat kind of pulling the always behind his mid like Oddwin and Reginald.
And it's really been CLG doing a pretty good job of farming defensively. It's actually been the story of CLG where once you're in this phase of the game, you usually see someone on their team getting caught out while they're trying to farm, but they've actually done a pretty good job of defensively warding. You can see most of their wards were in their own jungle before that last one placed, and they've been using those to scrape by and just barely get some farm while not being caught out. With Nien being top for this Dragon, I don't see CLG fighting for it without a huge loss. If they do decide to go for this one, it could be disastrous.
They're going to try to jump on a Sneaky here. Oh, the Cocoon just missing from the side as Big Fat tries to help the team initiate. Would have gotten a nice command shockwave off of Big Fat there, and looks like High to bring up the rear now and the anchor. It looks like Cloud9 could now try to formulate for this Dragon.
And this, if CLG did go for this, it wouldn't be too bad because there's no flash on Balls still, but he does have his Slicing Maelstrom, so it's just going to be that lightning rush in with the Slicing Maelstrom. It's going to be all on Chauster or even Nien to knock him back. Ooh, great poke right there.
You can see Nien, he may have lost that lane by 40 CS, but he was playing to destroy the other lanes, and he already is. Sneaky down about a third of his health right now, and CLG is just slowly walking themselves into this fight.
And Nien right now, he's done his job anyway. Even though he did get beat in lane very hard, he's got his main items that make Jace such a potent poker. He can just use those shock blasts. There we go, Doublelift in the middle too. They're just delaying right now around the Dragon to get another objective, and this is actually starting to swing for CLG here. Even though they're still behind in gold, they're going for this Dragon.
They're definitely using positioning and mind games to win these fights right now. They have the ward coverage, the Oracle on Chauster, and I believe off of Lemon Nation is also making them a little cautious. They don't know what coverage that is coming out of CLG right now. They're going to walk back into this one. Meteos takes that shot. So Meteos not taking too much from Nien, but that back line is getting crushed. The positioning is crucial here. That shockwave, perfect position. They don't decide to go. It's just such a poke game right now, Kobe.
This looks like a 5v5 all-out brawl right here. Nobody wants to make the first move. One Cocoon was landed, but since Big Fat LP is spamming out spells right now, he's getting really low on mana.
Oh my gosh. Just throwing rocks back and forth at each other right now. Nothing is even happening. Whoever makes the wrong stink eye is definitely going to get it first. Though Balls tries to go in. No. Shock Blast just going over his shoulder as well. Meteos taking some poke still from the back line. Guys, come on, do something.
Flash on Kennen is up in 30 seconds. If they keep delaying this for much longer, then Balls is going to have that flash in. And here comes Doublelift back. The Dragon started once again.
There's the true shot barrage going across. Balls tries to go in. He dodges that. They still have Monsoon up. Balls is not onto the fight just yet. The bounce out from Doublelift. They have great positioning here for Cloud9. Deciding not to go in. They may just try to pressure out Dragon here. Will not be able to fight it. Big Fat with his ultimate still up. Not much mana though. That's pretty much all he's got left in his bar. Will he decide to go for this? The Dragon very low. Meteos not able to get it. Big Fat steals away the Dragon from outside, and they're able to get What?
Big Fat LP was able to steal the Dragon. All the members of Cloud, or at least Lemon and Balls, were fairly low right there from the poke. But CLG decides to recall, and they're going to try and defend this mid turret right here. They're just too late, though.
Absolute prop smiting over that percent damage of an execute from Lee Sin on Dragon. Big Fat goes down, though. They still are behind in gold in this. It's like they are just scraping back and clawing back as they break their nails. At 25 minutes, 3-2, they're up in kill still. Down 3 turrets, only down 600 in gold, but it's been the story of the game. It's looking good from here, Kobe. They have to find the swing on that saw, though.
Yeah, and we're back to even gold. I mean, it's good to trade 1 kill for a dragon if CLG had been able to defend their turret, but they were not. They actually recalled instead. Now they're going to try and answer here for balls, but he's on Kennen very sneaky, and it could at least take them a while to catch him.
Balls.
Or not.
Oh, he gets crushed from the other side. Flashes over the wall. They should be able to grab this. He throws down the Zanya. Sneaky could have put himself in a bad spot there. Cloud9 actually getting a little haywire now as they get thrown off kilter. Looks like CLG has found their way through the defense. A few more kills for themselves.
And the Ants go marching in one by one to die right there. Sneaky goes in to try and save balls, but he goes down as well. CLG gonna come out the victors, and this has really been all sort of a domino effect delayed from that dragon. It's really been one continuous fight as Cloud9 were still low from that mid push after that, and this is really what was able to have CLG capitalize on that finally. So in the end, that entire sort of drawn out 3-point fight right there does go in favor of CLG, and they're looking really good right now, especially with that Tristana combo, Infinity Edge and Phantom Dancer finished.
It's really working. Cloud9 is not able to do the amount of engage and disengage with the jump composition that they have. Meteos high, Sneaky, all on, like we said, those gap closer or disengaged champions. It seems to just not, or just falling apart for them, I should say, instead of not working. So 26 minutes in, we'll see if they can start to bring that gap back together for themselves. You have to remember, this is the time Doublelift, that Tristana starts to ramp up, so it's kind of their time to sit back, where we saw CLG kind of lulling through that phase earlier.
Yeah, CLG are definitely happy with how this game is going. They're finally back in the gold lead here. Another thing that we saw displayed at that dragon fight was all the answers that CLG have for the C9 dives. We had High go in, blow his Deathmark combo on Doublelift, but Doublelift jumped over the edge, came around the back after it had timed out, and then when Meteos tried to engage with his Q combo right there, there was just a knockback from Nien. So they were able to disengage both of those dives without having to blow the Janna ultimate. That Monsoon was still ready for when Balls would come in with his Maelstrom.
And there's so much more fight preparedness, or readiness, if you will, coming on the side of CLG right now. Flash is being up, Cleanse is being up, Barriers up, Flashes a lot of Knights down.
I mean, look at this trade that they're doing right now. Doublelift is constantly shoving that bottom by himself, but they don't have to trade turrets right now. CLG could actually defend, and they're definitely going to want to defend their inhibitor turret, so I wonder when they'll actually pull Doublelift back here. It looks like they're going for this turret.
3-man shockwave going out. Lemonation gets crushed down, so the support's not there. There's the Monsoon disengage. High goes straight in. That's going to be Link going down with the Deathmark. No, who did it get caught onto? It looks like nobody off that spot, and it looks like they are going to keep going on this fight. Big Fat takes one, but also goes down himself.
2 for 1, but Doublelift was not even there. He's been pushing the bottom this whole time. This has been the story of the CLG games, that they actually win is when they just leave Doublelift down there. Not only does he get turrets for trading 1 for 1, but he gets free farm. This is where Doublelift actually came out ahead in farm now, above Sneaky, even though he was behind that whole laning phase. The split pushing really pays off for them, and he's going to be a beast once he finishes that last Whisper.
We'll see what he can do, see if he can get himself in that base, take down more things for himself. So you can see Doublelift actually talking to his team. He's really being the one who's vocal right now. When he is playing things like this and not being protected by the team, he actually starts to become one of the more vocal players.
It's very interesting that CLG have, you know, sort of had this change in composition that's not what they're used to. They've been playing so many late games last week. They took all these games extremely long, past 50 minutes on the average, and they've actually adapted their composition to that. They picked up Tristana, like, yeah, you know what we'd really like in all these 70-minute, 50-minute games? A 6-item Tristana. That'd be really nice, guys. So they went with this team composition. Yes, they did lose all of the lanes early, but they were able to answer with those dragons. And thank goodness they got those the double kill early for them. That was really huge.
They want to make a big impact off this next fight too. They're in that mode of buying elixirs already. Doublelift with the red elixir for a next big fight. They know having that open in the bottom lane is going to be huge for them. They're actually showing quite a few members here. Baron is going to be in the eyes of Cloud9.
And they can't do it too quickly right now. CLG definitely know that they're trying to burn it down. And they've got Janus, so they've got extra speed. This is going to be really close. It looks like Cloud9 are going to get this one.
Here come Counter Logic Gaming. They're just on the edge. That Shock Blast is going to miss. The Baron goes down. Are they going to engage? Big Fat's the one in the front. It's just waiting on the outside. Kennen would probably be the one to go in, but Balls is completely out of energy right now. They're going to continue to back up. Nobody's stuck. Great poke coming in from Cloud9. They begin to initiate the true shot barrage across the entire team. Big Fat to repel for safety, and he gets himself across the wall. They are going to be still able to go onto this. Meteos finds himself, gives him a place to go, and says, fall on me.
CLG looks like this might be another throw related to Baron. This time it wasn't CLG going for Baron, but showing 3 members bottom at this stage in the game, you're right, is a very risky call. And even though they all started running up towards Baron immediately, once they saw that the ward was being taken out by Cloud9, just too slow for them, and it's going to be another really big bonus for Cloud9 to get them right back in this game.
I'm just kind of scratching my head right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, so they're going to go for Dragon 30 minutes in. CLG needing this gold now. It puts them up 2K, but that is a Baron buff on Cloud9. That's a bunch of gold sitting on top of them as a stat. And this next fight pretty much evens them out for items, if not anything else.
Yeah, I mean, this stage of the game has really been the hardest part for Counter Logic. Even though, you know, they did lose the early game, they were kind of planning on that. This stage of the game, they've either been throwing by trying Barons early. This time they've been so scared of Baron that they actually gave it up for free. And this is actually the second time that Cloud9 has done something like that to get them right back in the game. And now we've got even that blue Ezreal build completed, so we've got that extra kiting potential here from Cloud9.
It almost negates having Shock Blast on that gate, or yeah, Shock Blast on the gate. Having the gate to run through for acceleration, rather. So at 31 minutes, Cloud9 is really using this Baron to gain their ground back. They know they can't just go, hey, we have Baron, let's try and push something. They have that inhibitor exposed in the bottom lane, and they do have to play this careful.
And CLG, they still have a very good composition that they can fall back on, though. They still have the very 2 strong points, where they usually go with a 2-threat team. In Lincoln double lift, looks like Ball's gonna get killed right there pretty easily.
That was actually really good play by him, because he could have Zonias and kept double lift in there, which would have forced him to bounce out. But with the range of now being that level and that burst, that was really well played. He wasn't even able to zone you out.
Double lifts, Tristana play definitely has improved a lot over the spring split. When we last saw him and he was complaining about it. So props to him there. But this is actually a really huge kill for them. Even though Baron buff is on Cloud9 right now, a 4 vs 5, even though the other team has Baron buff, is fine for CLG. They can actually force something on an objective right now.
All right, so we got Big Fat LPA. You can see on your screen a little bit of a keyboard issues. He was just kind of hanging out in mid and was like, this isn't right. But good job on that kill in the top lane. So that was a pretty good fight overall for them. They did get Kennen's Ignite, which isn't huge. He did remember to save Flash. So with all of that, he's not like, oh, I need to get myself this kill. He's remembering that Flash is going to be way bigger for the next engagement.
Yeah, so it's going to be really, really hard for Cloud9, actually, the next team fight. Counter Logic Gaming, they don't have a hard engage of their own. Really, they're all about poking until the stray cocoon would land, would be the only thing that Counter Logic would actually go in on. Whereas Cloud9, they need Balls to get a lot of people in his Slicing Maelstrom.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have to get in there, be real aggressive about it, and he's going to get himself into the fray. We see him on your screen right now. He's waiting. He wants to get in there. He's like, yeah, I just died. My screen's gray, but it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
As a player, that's kind of the worst time to have a pause. You just get picked off. Your team is all frustrated with you.
You're like, yeah,
and now we're going to pause
definitely.
the game. So everybody is aware right now. Hey guys, the entire 200,000 people watching, Balls just got picked off 31 minutes in. This is a pretty big misstep.
You can see him. Yeah, he's low.
He's like, come on, get back into this.
All right, so we'll get that fixed up for Big Fat. Back into the game. So we're at 31 minutes in here. It is 8-4 on the score sheet. CLG was down like 600 gold for a while. Now they found themselves up in gold, but the Baron is sitting around the waist of Cloud9 at this point. So both teams are kind of on the seesaw, and it's not really swaying in either direction. It's pretty level, actually. with these items. And you said Big Fat's kind of is and kind of isn't the tank for them, but it's not an initiation. You're right. It's not like he can repel in and that's going to be a super surprise for them, right?
Yeah.
It's a telegraphed initiation. So for what they have to do, I think a jungle fight's going to be nice for them.
Yeah, it's the team fight between these two compositions is very interesting because it's so reliant on all these skill shots. Neither team is going to go in without landing one of their skill shots.
Yeah.
So it's really just a poke game in the waiting. That's why we saw that very long standoff at Dragon, is because they can't reliably take out the other team without landing one of those skill shots. And like we're going to look at Balls' Maelstrom is going to be huge for Cloud9. It's really the same thing for Counter Logic Gaming. Link's Shockwave is going to be really big, especially if he's able to grab both of those melees. If the melees are together, the Lee Sin and the Zed, getting those off of Double Lift would be huge for them, or even off of Nien. So
well, the only point this now happens is an objective in the jungle, which I just said, which is also kind of bad because you have 3 people that can jump walls whenever they want. So that could, unless they get him in the right choke point, or where it usually comes down to at this point is literally the front steps of your base. When they're trying to hit that turret, they're forced to squeeze together, and a lot of fights are told right there.
Yeah, so the team fights are going to be really interesting for these compositions when we do get to it. But man, I have to say, Counter Logic Gaming coming out much stronger than the voters.
More confidence.
The voters thought it was what was that, 76% for Cloud9 to win this one. I would not give them 76% right now at this point in the game.
They definitely swayed the odds. They have the ace sitting there.
Yeah,
the folded card, the ace waiting for the river.
And the weaknesses that CLG have with all these role swaps are very apparent in the early games because that's where you're in this new lane and you're in this new role. But in the late game, it's all games really sort of come to one road here, and it's all about team fights. And they all have great team fight experience. These are all very experienced players. So Nien not being, you know, a top lane player for most of his history won't hurt him at this stage in the game. It's just he's a Jace now. That could have easily been one of his mid lane plays. So the late game here is a lot easier for CLG since it's so much more focused on the team fighting.
All right, so we're going to see, ladies and gentlemen, back into the matchup. We got Big Fat LP's keyboard all fixed up, and we are going to be back to that top lane kill. We have Double Lift picking that one up. So now 2-0-4 on Double Lift, and he's been doing exactly the same thing he did at All-Stars, farming his face off. 326 right now, and nobody's even reached a 280 capacity throughout the game.
It's so interesting to see the difference, too, because the reason he's got that is because CLG used their AD carry as their split pusher. They have Double Lift being the split pusher, whereas a lot of European teams, you know, like Fnatic usually have Peke or, you know, Soaz doing the split pushing. So they use one of their solo laners as the split push, and it really just, it says a lot about the team's identity just from who they decide to be the split pusher and who's the one that they're trying to feed all of those minion kills to very early.
Wow, good damage coming out from Sneaky there. You can see it as it hits. Oh, Meteor's going deep into the fight. I don't think he wanted that much deepness. So he's going to be able to back out of that one at 33. They have to be very careful, Kobe. Like you said, this far into the game, it comes down to the fights. Yes,
that is one of the, I guess those are sort of skill shots there from Meteos. He wanted to do the double dash to get behind Double Lift. If he can kick Double Lift into his team, and they're able to just grab him, then that's where Cloud9 will actually win. If they can make a play like that with Lee Sin and grab Double Lift and get him down early, then that's exactly how Cloud9 want to pull it off. But Double Lift wasted no time, got the rocket jump off. He didn't even have to burn his flash, so still has all of his cooldowns. And since he is that level 18 Tristana, he's hit that ridiculous 703 auto attack range.
See how they decide to utilize this. They're getting some damage onto the turret. Yeah, Double Lift is crushing that down. Don't utilize any damage. All the damage, and it goes out. 8-4, 6-5 in turrets. Counter Logic definitely turning the tide of this one. Now they are up 3,000 gold, and that Baron buff really was just kind of money for Cloud9.
Yeah, it was, you know, people talk about pause buttons, but I guess it did buy them some time, and it gave them a little bit of their map control back. That they then definitely lost because balls got picked off. But we can go back to that last turret that was actually taken. It seemed like a very routine deal because CLG are so far ahead. But the interesting thing is that Double Lift is on the front lines for Counterlogic Gaming. He's standing in front, which is weird for a lot of our viewers. But since he's level 18 Tristana, he does have the longest range, that 703, and so he's able to get those tower hits off while the rest of CLG stays safe. And if they make any move at Double Lift, he rocket jumps backwards. So he'll be on the front lines as long as he has that rocket jump cooldown up.
Yeah, they're keeping him. They said, let's build a team around Double Lift to keep him safe, or give him a champion that he can keep himself safe on. And we saw him, he said he did it in the fight earlier when they had the dragon fight that was back and forth. High dove him, and he was forced to jump all the way around and then walk around to the fight. And Counterlogic actually held that fight in a way that would be, an advantage for them, which is kind of hard when you have to wait for your 80 carry to walk another 1,000 range to get back into the fight. So even the little things, they're being able to change midway through fights is really helping them adapt to a better game.
Yeah, and they're definitely in the driver's seat right now. CLG are in control of this one. They've seen exactly what Meteos wants to do. It's pretty obvious, but he wants to get the QQ combo to get in, and then ward jump and safeguard behind somebody to kick them in. It's a very hard maneuver to actually pull off. That's why, Insec was getting so much credit over in the All-Stars. And if Cloud9 aren't able to pull that off, then they have to give up those objectives like we just saw them give up that turret.
Neither team strangers to the bulwarks, the Zonyas, the Muramanas. So many core items already finished now as we're 35 minutes in. We're getting to that CLG fine point of the game where we start to see them enjoy themselves here. And really, we were wondering last spring where teams would get the practice in all this late game play, and it's you play against Counterlogic Gaming.
There you go. Play against Counterlogic, and you're guaranteed at least over 30 minutes. Their average last week was, what, 52 or whatever? That's saying something. I can't say I'm surprised by the length of this game. Even though it is Cloud9, CLG, again, doing a great job here, stalling it out.
So we got Dragon and Baron ticking down simultaneously here. Looks like Baron's going to be the bigger choice, though, on this guy on the menu of both teams. 6-5, still the turrets. So after that top engage coming in from CLG, they were able to take a little bit more pressure off of just that part of the jungle. This mid turret would be fantastic if they could do that before Baron.
There is also an exposed inhibitor to remember for Counterlogic. I don't know if they remember they have an exposed inhibitor, because
I think they remember what happened last time they went down there to push it.
Yeah. They do have that, though. If they want to force it, force a fight, then that's where you can do it, because there's no turret. You can see there, like I was saying, Double Lift, he won't hesitate to pull the trigger on that rocket jump because he is on the front lines for CLG right now. Anytime he sees a single member of Cloud9 making a move in, immediate rocket jump backwards, because there's no reason for Counterlogic to chance anything right now.
And this, look where Meteos is standing the whole time. They don't have a huge initiation either unless Kennen is there to flash. He was standing there to say, if I hit you with a Q, I'm coming in. And I'm going to be so disruptive, you're not going to be able to stop it no matter what. So these guys are telegraphing everything and still feeling confident about it.
Counterlogic have so much speed right now with the Janna plus the J skate. It's very easy for them to back off. And you can see right now they're even going to get pushed into the turret here. Their bottom minion wave for Cloud9 is doing a lot of work. That's why Cloud9 is trying to keep up this pressure here and just keep CLG in the mid lane while their minions do work bottom.
It's been surprising with Janna and with the movement speed of Double Lift right now. You should be able to farm that bottom wave, get it pushed, at least get some pressure on that bottom inhibitor. And then, I don't know. High actually
Ball's
going back
really
with team
low
here
right now.
That's some good damage. They may choose to force a Baron on this.
They've really got nightmares about late game Barons, though. Counterlogic is very hesitant to make one of those moves. It looks like the Oracles is going to be enough for them to do that, though. They didn't clear out that ward, so there's going to be plenty of vision, and this is going to be one of the standoff, the dances, the trades that we're going to see.
This has the potential to be such a big fight, though. If they win this fight, they get Baron, they get the mid turret, they get another turret after that, they get a bottom inhibitor if they want it. So they're kind of weighing their options right now. There are so many windows open for them right now if this fight goes well.
Only 37.5 minutes, though. So there's plenty of time left in this one. Counter Logic putting a little bit deeper of wards here, but Lemon's got another Oracle, so the fight over Vision right now is going to be paramount.
This is Counter Logic waited way too long. Everybody was able to go back to base.
They
got the damage on it though. Go! What a great Monsoon! The smite goes to Big Fat, but can they hold it? A very nice slicing Maelstrom. Double Lift gets himself out, but it's going to be too much coming from High. High goes down as well, but the shutdown is on to Double Lift. These guys are getting the bounties that they wanted. Cloud9 is going to try and get as many Baron buffs off as they can, but CLG is on the retreat.
Only a 1-for-1 trade. This is actually really big for CLG. They still have all the gold and Baron buff on 4 people. Cloud9 can try and push this middle, but there's still 4 people up for Counter Logic to defend this turret. And with Janna being such a great turret defender, I don't think there's much work that Cloud9, they're just going to try and brute force this one.
Great pressure on that Baron. A kick back. Big Fat gets hit to the left. The True Shot Barrage does not get damage over the Zanyas, and it looks like they are forced to go back themselves here. A bit of chase is going to get in pursuit here.
CLG should not chase this one. They should wait for Double Lift right now. Once he gets back up, they can make use of the 4-member double buff or Baron buff advantage that they have and go to that exposed inhibitor that I was pointing out before.
That was very scary by Counter Logic Gaming, having the Baron so many attempts for it and then doing it on the time that Cloud9 was actually in pursuit of their Baron attempt. So 39 minutes here. CLG squeaks out a Baron in their favor. The second one of the game now going to them, so both teams 1-1 on that objective. 9-5, Counter Logic still holding good on that 3,500 gold lead, but Cloud9 has found a way to keep it 3,500 gold for about 10 minutes.
It's going to be rough for them to hold that, keep that line though, because a free inhibitor with the Baron up CLG, it would be very risky for Cloud9 to engage upon that, because Janna's going to have that Maelstrom up really soon, and Flash is going to be a very long cooldown for Balls. The reason that fight was even so close is because Balls had his Flash. He was able to slicing Maelstrom Flash in after the Monsoon was blown, which forced CLG to scatter there. That's not going to be an option this time around. So CLG definitely have the upper hand at this point. They can probably force this free inhibitor.
See what they can do. Shock Blast going in. You can see how the supports have almost itemized here as well. Chaucer able to go mobility boots into the locket for team defense.
They're getting chased off.
They're trying to be the ones to chase. Lemon Nation picked up the Shirelias. They have to be careful of this engage. Cloud9 can still get into these fights even with the disengage of CLG. Looks like they may try to take down this inhibitor though.
Big Fat LP's got definitely a different style of jungler than any of the other junglers we've seen, you know, in the LCS. He goes almost not taking any farm, and he builds full tank no matter what jungler he picks. He's been full tank Nocturne, hidden like a little baby, but he's full. He can soak up all the damage. He doesn't try and put out any. He's all about that defensive build, very hardcore defensive build on every jungler that he's taken, even the junglers that are traditionally built with some more damage.
Counter Logic has to be really careful of how this fight goes. They lose too many people. They have a huge wave at their inhibitor turret already in mid. If they can guard this well, the retour is big.
They're probably going to have to make it work on this next push here, and they should not be too hesitant. It looks like they're going to get a couple pot shots on the inhibitor.
There's the minion wave walking up to the turret, so it's going to stop for now. Siege on siege, but CLG is still trying to siege the bottom here, and it looks like Sneaky trying to do what he can as the auto attacks from Double Lift in the turret. Meteos goes in and he gets absolutely shredded. There's the lock of the Iron Solari. A little bit of life safety there, putting him on the Iron Lung right now. Meteos just gets out with Wild Growth. Big Fat is in the front line. You can see that tank coming out for them. They get one. And wow, in the back line from downtown, Nien gets Meteos.
So Nien was able to finish off. See, that's the problem with relying on the Lee Sin plays as your hard initiate. If that's your go-to initiate for Cloud9, then it's so risky. You can see Tristana is the perfect answer. Rocket jump Meteos right into the whole team that immediately collapsed on him. And even though they didn't burst him down 100%, look at all the objectives they're taking.
So crazy. CLG gives a hoorah. The minions as well save the inhibitor turret back at their base. But they have to be careful here of the re-engage. No, Cannon's very low. The True Shot Barrage to come out, but there is not enough chase involved here, even if they're sped up by Lulu. They're giving a good chase, though. They're not letting them back, at least.
That's 2 inhibitors down. This is giant for CLG. The next Baron would be the only point where they could throw it really hard again. But so far, Spectacular is showing for CLG, and most of it's because of the thought they put into their team composition and those early dragons that answered for the CS lead, not allowing for Cloud9 to take any advantage with the early map control that they got. They really expected the exact picks from Cloud9, and finally somebody was able to make them answer for it.
And this is the time that they have to consider about map control. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of wards going, or not a lot of wards going out, some wards, but those are just being placed. Since CLG has been in the face of Cloud9, that map was absolutely dark just a second ago. So they have to kind of rethink the game now. It's back to being in the jungle. It's not just in the other person's base. So you have to rethink the fights as well.
At this point, Cloud9's thinking around the fights really just has to be jungle warfare. They really have to turn guerrilla warfare here and go for some sporadic, small skirmishes.
They have the assassins.
Because in a straight-up 5 vs 5 siege at that turret, they don't have any reliable means of initiating here. And CLG just have way too many disengages, way too many answers for a Cloud9 all-in, that Cloud9 really just have to look for ambushes and sneak attacks and try and pick people somewhere.
CLG has the auto attack fight as well, if you really look at it. There's a huge burst from Cloud9 at the beginning, and it's just like, boom, nuclear punch.
They completely mistimed this Baron. This is a really just giant blooper from CLG. The Baron's got another 49 seconds if our timer can be trusted, yet they were all waiting around the Baron pit with another minute on it to go, and Cloud9 take that inhibitor turret.
Possibly with that Oracles, they thought they had the upper hand on where the vision was, and they could bait the fight out. Oh, he walks right into that one. Takes it in the kisser. Double lift going out. Meteos all the way in once again. Forced to flash out. Seems to be the story of his life today. Back out of this. It's 1 kill so far into Chowster. It looks like they're just going to keep pushing.
The bloopers are just too strong for CLG, and they lose Chowster on top of losing their inhibitor and inhibitor turret. Oh, this is going to be painful.
Balls on the backside. There he goes in once again. There's a pretty good command shockwave on the backside, but they are going to continue to fight. High goes down. This is what I was talking about. The extended fight goes all the way in CLG's favor. Once that nuclear burst is gone from Cloud9, they have nothing. The last few shots to come in, the Zanyas, he's going to look good dying, but you're just going to look good on the double kill. Double lift comes up.
Yeah, you get your spot in Double Lift's highlight reel. Congratulations. Double Lift's way too far ahead right now. They were able to get him ridiculously farmed and have a GA that's not even had to be popped right now. Even though Chowster was given up for free and they lost the inhibitor plus, or the inhibitor turret plus inhibitor, they could just win the game right now. Only Meteos can have anything to say about it.
Gonna get crushed down. Double lift on that Nexus. Meteos is waiting. Counter Logic with another seesaw game, back and forth. They are going to be able to get the first win, and it looks like Cloud9 will find their first loss.
Really well played from CLG.
It wasn't CLG's first win.
No, it wasn't.
Just the first loss, I should say.